a lot of the different plagues that have manifested themselves and affected human beings, ending up with the last but one slide saying forthcoming pandemic novel coronavirus. And when the coronavirus did hit us as COVID-19, I was halfway through writing the book. I hadn't finished it, but I finished it by the June and had it published by the June of 2020. Yeah.
So you always knew there was another pandemic coming. I mean, you've been a doctor for a long, long time, Paul. You always knew there was a... I mean, I used to teach my students that, it's not when... It's not if there's a next pandemic, it's entirely when and what organism. I mean, has that always been your feeling?
Oh, absolutely. And we've had epidemics in between, but the pandemic was due, say, although I couldn't tell you at the time when I was predicting it exactly when it would come. And my last slide actually was referring to computer viruses and computer hacking and their effect and how they could spread and have a big effect on human beings. And I thought that the COVID, I didn't know it was going to be called COVID, but coronavirus disease would come before the computer problem. But the very next week after I gave the lecture in Bristol, to Bristol University and to the Bristol Medical Society, called the Bristol Med-Chi Society, the very next week the hacking occurred, and
Welcome, Commander.
a lot of the computers in the NHS went down, and it was just what I'd been talking about.
I remember that. We had to go back to a new innovation called pens and pieces of paper.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Worse affected of all were the slave computers in things like CT and MRI, something that I worked on when I was a radiologist, and I'd been a pioneer in both. Really, they hadn't updated the computers very much, and although the machines looked beautifully new and shiny, they had old computers in them, and they were affected very badly by the computer hacking.
Interesting. Now, next time there's a pandemic or a major world health crisis, I'd like you and Professor Dalgleish to call me straight away.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I got it wrong, or less accurate than I'd like to get it for quite some time.
Well,
but yourself and Professor Dalgleish were well ahead of the game, early 2020, weren't you?
Well, we were well ahead of the game.
Yeah.
I have to say that when it first occurred, I immediately thought, yes, this has come from the laboratory, the COVID, and then I read the papers in Nature and the Lancet. I thought, I must be wrong. And for a whole week, I believed these lying papers. For a whole week.
Yeah.
And then my normal skepticism kicked back in just at the time that
Battle started.
Professor Dalgleish phoned me up and said, this was made in the laboratory. And I replied to him, yes, it was.
Yeah.
So that's why I started. That's why I finished the book in the early summer of 2020. But I'd started writing it because of a general interest in the history of medicine. What I've always felt about the history of medicine is that it's important to relate it to the present. And then make some predictions.
And the future.
Exactly. So I go to meetings of the history of medicine, and a lot of the lectures are about some old doctor or other, or an old nurse, and somebody from the Victorian era. And then they don't relate it to the present. And I feel that, yes, that does give us a bit of knowledge about what was going on then. But my feeling was to actually look at a broad spread of diseases. What was their history? What is their history now? What will their history be in the future? And that that is what I've always tried to do when I'm giving lectures on the history of medicine. Yeah.
That's what kind of fooled me, really. And you'll be the same throughout your working life and my working life. Nature and the Lancet were the definitive journals, weren't they? I mean, Watson and Crick published the DNA hypothesis or the DNA models in Nature. It's about as exonerated as you can get. And the Lancet was like, well, it's in the Lancet, end of debate, I mean.
Yeah, getting a paper in the Lancet. I only ever had one paper in the Lancet. Yeah. And I never got a paper in Nature. I should have been on one, but the person decided to just put his own name on and not mine. He just gave me an acknowledgement. Yeah. But yes, some people are like that. But we all tried to get into the Lancet, and so yes, we had such respect for those journals, and I'm afraid my respect for the journals has been massively diminished.
And literally, that Origins paper was published in the Lancet, wasn't it? And pivotal
Nature
papers
Medicine,
published in both. So it was like inconceivable to me.
And also the guys,
all these years.
the guys who were writing them, they didn't acknowledge that they had conflicts of interest. They did not point out their conflicts of interest, which of course is completely wrong. And now you find that recently the BMJ removed a paper because they say that they said it wasn't in keeping with the consensus. Well,
that's the whole point. You're not supposed to be in keeping with the consensus.
It's very disturbing what's going on. Yeah. Yes.
No, I mean, it really is a big letdown. That's what fooled me for a long time, because all the national guidelines are based on papers in the Lancet and Nature and things like that. And
well, I think the thing as well, I think you did very well in the way you put the stuff over, because you never actually did it in such a way that you were saying that people were wrong to have said it came from the laboratory. You were very careful.
Commander,
I enjoyed watching your videos. So don't feel at all that you were behind. I think you were ahead of nearly everybody else, just not Gus and myself. So
yeah, you were exceptional. Yeah. So anyway, next time you promise to call me straight away. So
yes, absolutely.
We all get it right from the start. It's interesting though. I mean, you and Gus are both medical professors, and by the application of really what is fairly pure medicine and science, you quickly realise the faults
Commander,
in the apparent rationality
That's right.
that we were being presented with, and said, no, just a minute, you can't. It's like Star Trek, isn't it? You can only change the laws of physics. We have these immutable laws, of medicine that and if something appears to go against them, then that's probably wrong.
That's absolutely right. There were several straightforward things there. First of all, the virus had appeared right next to the laboratories that were playing with the very virus. Secondly, they
Commander,
had published
self-destructed.
work showing how easy they had found it to add spike proteins, and this virus had got added spike proteins.
The furin cleavage site.
The furin cleavage site, the increased polarity in the charge on the virus, and it clearly was engineered.
Yeah.
So how was it that these people were saying the opposite? Well, they didn't want to be blamed. I mean, that's number one. They didn't want to be blamed. This was now spreading around the world. Officially, what they'd been doing was trying to create vaccines. They weren't officially trying to infect the world with deadly viruses. I say officially they weren't, because unofficially, if you do the things that they were doing, you will spread the viruses around the world. In this book, I have a table in which I show a few of the occasions in which viruses have escaped from laboratories, and they tried to tell us that viruses don't escape from laboratories.
Yeah.
They always do. They always do.
Yeah.
And
Here we are. It's page 97. Some examples of escaped laboratory viruses.
There's just a few of the examples. Yeah, there we
Just
are.
a few examples there. Yeah.
Yes, you're quite right. Yes. Smallpox, 72 cases in 1966 from Birmingham. Smallpox, 1971, 10 cases and 3 fatal in Soviet Union. London smallpox, 1972. I was in London at that time. I remember how frightening that was. 4 cases and 2 deaths. Russia and China, a pandemic which returned to swine flu. They may well have put that one together. They may have actually engineered that one.
There's a lot of people think that, isn't there? Yeah.
And it does go on and on. China, SARS, you see, one of the reasons I thought that we would get coronavirus problems, I knew that they were playing with the SARS virus in the laboratories. There were 6 laboratories that had the SARS virus. That's the one from 2003.
Yeah, severe acute respiratory syndrome.
Yes, and it kept on escaping, and people had died. So it was odds on that at some point, from one of these laboratories where they were playing with the viruses, we would end up with an epidemic or pandemic. Yeah.
I've just thought of something interesting. It's a good job they weren't. Well, they probably are playing with MERS, the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, because that's got such a much.
They
higher
are playing
case
with all of
fatality
these. They are playing with all of these, and of course they're still playing with smallpox in the laboratories in America and in Russia. That when it escaped in the Aral Sea Institute incident in 1971, that was probably weaponized smallpox.
That's pretty terrifying.
Under the Soviet Union. That's very disturbing.
Really is.
Yeah.
But if they've been, the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, the death rate
absolutely.
It can be 40-50%.
Exactly, 50% mortality rate.
There's outbreaks occasionally in Arabia because it's carried in camels, isn't it?
Yes.
The occasional spillover.
Though it's syphilis, for that matter. Syphilis is carried in camel as well.
Really? I didn't know that. Right.
Yes, it's one of the few animals, apart from human beings, that can carry syphilis.
Armadillos, I'm thinking, is that right?
Armadillos, yes.
Yeah.
You're thinking of leprosy with armadillos.
But viewers, ignore that bit. John's talking.
No, I think it's
You're
an
quite right. I'm thinking of leprosy.
But it's very similar.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't put it past armadillos to have syphilis.
It's very kind of you to make excuses for me, Paul. Thank you.
Syphilis came from the New World. When we discovered the New World, we gave them a whole load of our diseases, as you know full well. We gave them smallpox and measles, common colds, etc. And they gave us syphilis. And it probably developed from yours. Not when I say yours, I don't mean you. I mean YAWS. It probably developed from yours,
which is another bacterial spirochete.
Yes, that's it, another spirochete. And then, of course, because we were separated from the New World for so many years. It was able to mutate and change, and then when we met it, that's people from Europe, we caught it straight away and brought it back over to Europe. When syphilis was very interesting then. It was really a bit different from what it is now. It was a very acute infection, and it was called the pox, and
Indeed.
smallpox was called smallpox to differentiate it from syphilis.
It's interesting. So the syphilis pox came first. The great pox.
The great pox, yes.
Not to be
Yes.
confused with clap, which is gonorrhea.
No, that's another. Yes, no, that's true. And I don't know why it was called clap, because nobody would surely applaud it.
No, in the old days, in the old days before we were politically correct, when I was a young staff nurse, I used to work on the
Clap
the
wards.
sexually transmitted disease clinics, and of course everyone called
Yes.
it the clap clinic.
Yes, they did. It was always called that. You're completely right.
Yeah.
It's the alliteration, isn't it? You
We're
would
far
call
too
it.
far too correct for that now. We wouldn't dream of doing that now.
No.
Yeah, and the interesting thing you mentioned about there was the electrical properties of the spike protein. So,
Yes.
like you might have a positive ion sticking out the end of a spike protein, and that just happens to line up with a negative ion in the ACE2 receptor, and of course, like magnets, they go clunk.
You're
they come
absolutely
together.
right, but
Yeah,
also
yeah.
the fact it has so much positive charge means it can actually grab onto almost any cell in the human body, because nearly all our cells are negatively charged, which is why, although it is mainly a respiratory disease, COVID also can affect the whole of the rest of the body, and it produced a whole plethora of different symptoms affecting
destroyed.
the nervous system, affecting the gut, it just causing Guillain-Barré syndrome. It can cause so many different things.
And the vaccine designers were shrewd enough to choose the spike protein as the antigen of choice. I mean, that is just unbelievable that they did that. They took the most pathogenic part of the virus.
Well, they were warned not to.
It's
They
just
were warned
unbelievable. How do people make such elemental mistakes? It's just...
Well, they didn't really want to listen to Gus, and I think this was as much a political opinion and the reason as anything else. But Birger Sorensen and Gus Dalglish had actually created a vaccine that did not involve the spike proteins, and they pointed out that what was very important was if you're going to make a vaccine against a virus that changes rapidly, you should make your vaccine against the parts to conserve.
Yeah.
And yes, that idea is now coming back into focus, but they produced that idea in the beginning of 2020.
For people that don't know this story, Gus Dalglish and others developed it's basically a dead bacterium with a particular heat attenuated process. It's a Mycobacterium vaccae, but from a cow.
Oh, that's
And
true.
it's injected as IMM 101 into the skin intradermally, and not only does it protect against probably all viral and bacterial diseases, it probably also reduces the probability of getting numerous types of cancer, because it upgrades the T cell immune response. And
Yes.
Gus did give this to the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, and obviously they welcomed it with open arms and said they can help lots and lots of people with it. Oh no, they didn't do that. No,
Commander
they
destroyed.
said no, Sonny, go away and play somewhere else. It was completely refused. I mean,
Yes.
that could have been put onto compassionate prescribing, and transformed.
itself,
It's just outrageous that happened.
They did make another vaccine in addition to that, and the M101 was going to be used as the adjuvant.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So no, you're completely right. But on its own, it is an excellent stimulator of the immune system. And what the BCG is what it was originally made to emulate. The BCG, which is what we were given against tuberculosis, was very effective in stimulating the immune system generally. And it would be interesting to see, I mean, I've not actually seen a report, but it'd be interesting to see a report
Commander
of
destroyed.
whether or not people who died from COVID had ever had the BCG, because
There was quite a bit on it of the protective effect of BCG in the early days. That was
yes,
it
yes.
was very well discussed, and I don't think anyone's ever done a detailed retrospective analysis.
No, that's what I was thinking.
But
could be done.
I don't think it should be done.
Yeah.
although the thing that concerns me about the COVID records now is it's getting on for 6 years, and typically a lot of the records are discarded at 7 years. So,
Well, they'll be so keen to discard them. They will.
oh,
They will discard
they'll be
them.
chomping at the bit. It'll be
Yes.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Let's get
1.
rid of them
That's
all.
7 years. Bang. You know,
Yeah.
it'll be.
Because they're not at all keen for us to look at what happened.
And the government is still hiding data now.
Yes.
you know,
Absolutely.
I mean, you know,
and look.
Excess
Yes.
deaths and vaccination status is the most obvious example. You know, why on earth wouldn't you release that data?
Well, that is wicked not to release the data, because
Totally.
how can they ever say that anything's done with the informed consent when they won't let us be informed? So I worry very much about the way that big pharma, the big pharmaceutical companies, have taken over the control of medicine. But I actually think they're behaving in exactly the same way as the military-industrial complex. And I coined the phrase the pharmaceutical industrial military process. That's PIMP.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that you want to put that out as the main title, because if you did, you'll probably
Commander,
find
destroy.
that you get censored. One of the things I put out got censored because pimp is considered to be a very bad word in America or something. I've no idea. I had absolutely
We don't know anything about American slang in this country, so.
no. I didn't know that they.
Interesting point you made there about the new world. So, you know, let's pick a time. I mean, Columbus, 1492. Obviously, there was some links before that, but you know,
Yes.
if we take, say, the year 1450, there was advanced civilizations all up and down the Amazon with these massive
Absolutely.
structures just being discovered by lidar now.
That's correct. That's
Just the-
correct. That's
the
a very
terror.
fascinating story.
Oh,
because
it really is interesting.
That's one of the ones I find very interesting.
Yeah.
Because there were a group of
Destroy.
the conquistadors who reached the Amazon by coming over the Andes from the other side. The story is that they made a raft, or they had some sort of small boat, which they brought over, and they got onto this small river, and they thought they'd be able to go back up, but of course they couldn't, because it rapidly became bigger, and they were on the Amazon. They were able to get to the side, and all the way down there was this astonishing civilization.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And
This must have been about 14, just about the time of Columbus or just before.
it was just after Columbus.
Yeah.
Just after Columbus, within a decade or so.
Yeah.
And down they went, being treated exceedingly well by the people they met. The people they met looked after them, gave them food, and they eventually ended up at the other end, coming out
on the Atlantic side.
Indeed, where they met Spanish ships, and they were gabbling on about having seen this El Dorado, and that is where the idea of this fabled city of gold is. And when people went back 50 years later, it was 50 years before they went back. When they went back 50 years later, it had all gone.
Yeah. There were
No trace of it at all.
Why had it gone?
It had gone because the people had caught smallpox, they'd caught measles, they'd caught the common cold. Now, in North America, it killed off 90% of what we would call Red Indians.
Yeah.
90% of the Native Americans were killed off by it. In the Amazon, 99%, 99.9%, nearly all of them. And
Certainly enough to eradicate entire civilizations.
the entire civilization was wiped out. And from then on, it became a myth, and people said this wasn't true. And then, of course, people have got LiDAR, and now we can see the pictures of the amazing earthworks. And one of the reasons, of course, that the forest was able to take over so quickly was that the stuff was all made out of earth.
Terra preta.
That's right. Now, we shouldn't be...
The dark, that dark is Portuguese or something for dark earth, isn't it?
Yes, but we shouldn't... Yes, that's right. The dark earth there is very important. But we shouldn't be conceited and think that that wouldn't happen to us. It would. It's surprising how quick, even with our concrete and our brick, it's amazing how quickly the weeds take over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, come and visit my allotment if you want any evidence of that.
Although, I have to say, the only things that really seem to have survived well in the drought have been the weeds.
Yeah.
If you start eating them, they'll shrivel up and disappear. I mean, anything that's useful.
Yeah, that's right. No, the terra preta is the other line of proof to me, because it's the dark soil. And
yes, the dark soil.
It contains pottery and it contains charcoal. I know we're talking about pandemics here, but it's very interesting because, I mean, as you remember from school biology, inside wood, you've got the xylem and phloem, which are remarkably small microscopic passages. And when you use pyrolysis, so you heat the wood without burning it, you drive off all the gases, you're left with the carbon, but that fine structure is retained in the charcoal.
Yes.
And that is then colonised by all sorts of bacteria, some of which are nitrogen fixing, and it increases the fertility of the soil potentially for the next 1,000 years. And this is all over the Amazon, and and it's got made from compost. It's got pottery in it. We know this is anthropogenic material, and yet, as you say, that's why the Amazon took over so quickly, because they'd made a beautiful composted garden to receive it. But amazing, 99%. So what you're saying is, with infectious disease, it's possible that 90 to 99% of us could be eliminated potentially.
Oh yes, it is entirely possible. It is unlikely. People have said, "What about Ebola? Will that
Battle
kill
ended.
us off?" And the answer is probably not.
It's not transmissible enough at the moment, is it? Fortunately.
As long as the virologists don't get their hands on it and try and make it more transmissible.
Well, I think we can rest assured that they are.
Yes, I think they are stupid enough to do that.
I don't know. I mean, the point is, with all this research, is we know the bad guys are doing it. So this research will be getting done in North Korea. So you've kind of got a microbiological arms race. If we decided unilaterally to stop all this, then the Russians will be doing it.
Well, that's what I think happened with the COVID. I actually think that the reason the Americans put the money into the work in Wuhan is they wanted to see what was being done.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to be there, and perhaps the way to make sure of that is actually to put the money in. What they didn't really appreciate is that instead of it being in just one laboratory, there were 4 laboratories there in Wuhan. All 4 were controlled by the military, and all 4 were really working on bioweapons.
Pretty naive of the CIA not to realise that, though, wouldn't it?
Well, maybe they did realise, but it still is naive. The money, as you know, came from the NIH, but also from DARPA.
Yeah,
and
that's the military research wing in the States.
That's quite right, yes. And was given by Fauci to Peter Daszak, who's been in the news recently.
Yep.
He then worked with Ralph Baric and Shi Zheng Li. We know exactly where the money went. We followed the money. That was one of the reasons I knew what they've been doing in the laboratories there.
And then that tied up with your knowledge of virology and science as well.
That's right. But people still haven't come out and said how it escaped. I have. And I tell you how it escaped. Yes, it escaped because they had made a vaccine by September of 2019 in China. The vaccine was patented in the February of 2020. So they had made the vaccine and they were testing it. They'd already tested it on their humanized mice, and they were then testing it on their political prisoners. And they would give the person the vaccine, and then they would challenge them with the virus. Well, no vaccine works 100%, and their vaccine only worked 50% or less. So 50% of the people caught a bad coronavirus, which was later called COVID-19. Some of them will have died. Some of the experimenters caught it. They were the ones who went down to the main hospital. The laboratories were all closed down. They were all fumigated. All evidence of this they tried to obliterate because they knew full well what had happened. It had escaped. And the authorities tried to control the message here. And eventually they failed because it escaped and it went around the world. But the people say to me, how do you know, how could you possibly know all this? The answer is I have a 50-page document from Scarlett Yan, who was a virologist who escaped to America. I also saw the video that Daszak did in the autumn of 2019, in which he said it was easy to put the spike proteins on the coronavirus. It was hard making the vaccines, and we couldn't make any drugs that worked. He was talking about the vaccines when we didn't even know that this disease existed. So we thought we did very well in getting our vaccines out by the end of 2020. We thought that was a miracle, and started giving them out to everybody in 2021. They had them well over a year before. And so we didn't do that wonderfully. We'd have done a lot better if this had all been honest and they'd been telling us straight off what had happened. But it's not a good story. But let's talk about something else in the book, shall we?
Yeah, let's talk about something much more cheerful. Let's talk about global plagues and pandemics.
Yes.
No, I mean, there's just reading through this book, Paul. It kind of triggered folk fears, really. Names that bring out terror in people. And that's kind of been passed on. I mean, maybe start off with that one, smallpox. I mean, in our generation, some of the older people had these appallingly scarred faces, didn't they, from smallpox? And
yes, and smallpox, that's number one of the bad diseases. It really killed more people than anybody else. It's a terrible disease.
And as you say, probably 90 to 99% of the population of parts of the Americas.
Yes, it killed so many people. And this is the example where vaccines really did work. Yeah. This is not to say that they weren't dangerous. I mean, people try to say that vaccines are always safe and effective. No, they're not always safe and they're not always effective. But when it came to being vaccinated against smallpox, the disease itself was so dreadful that even despite the fact that there was some danger from being vaccinated, it was nothing compared with smallpox. And they managed to eliminate smallpox, except, of course, as I said, it's still in a laboratory.
Battle started.
Still alive,
in America, still in a laboratory in Russia. So, but yes.
Fascinating story, goes all the way from Edward Jenner, who inoculated James Phipps with cowpox.
Yes.
Allegedly from Sarah Nelms's arm, the milkmaid who Edward Jenner was keeping his eye on. all the way through to 78 was the eradication, something like that?
79.
I think, 79.
78, 79. And 1980, of course, AIDS appeared. So we had a year without a nasty pandemic, didn't we?
Nice year off, absolutely.
One nice year.
What is smallpox? Is it a virus?
Yes, it's a very nasty viral disease. And the thing about smallpox is the fact that it actually has two variants. It has one which affects people in a rather mild way, and there's a very, very nasty version of it which can kill very quickly. Now, the thing about it, people wanted to catch the
mild form.
You don't want to catch the horribly killing form.
Yeah, because the mild form will give you immunity against the nasty form.
Yes, that's right. Though they actually did inoculate people with what they thought was the mild form, and that actually had quite a high mortality rate.
I think they sometimes got it wrong, didn't they, and gave them the wrong form. I think that was probably...
Well, I think so. And maybe there really wasn't two forms. Maybe what was really happening is that some people were naturally immune to it. They
or just different genetic phenotypic interaction.
Exactly. And they think, oh, this is only the mild form. Then they gave it to somebody else. The other person died.
So, and that was called variolation, wasn't it?
It was. You know, they tried the same with syphilis, don't you?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh yes, they tried to take mild forms of syphilis, and they called it syphilization, which was a play on civilization as a word. And it didn't work. It just gave people syphilis. Yes. So they tried to do the same with what they thought was a mild form. Yeah.
So I think smallpox, it's fair to say, has probably killed more people than any other.
Yes, definitely.
You can still see some of the pictures of people with it. It's like, and it's called pox because you get these horrible pustular eruptions all over the body, and then they go black and necrosed. Horrible.
If people remember chicken pox, it is similar to that, but much worse. Much worse. And chicken pox is awful in itself, actually. You can get chicken pox encephalitis affecting the brain, and people do die from chicken pox. But of course, not so much these days because of the vaccines. What I can't understand, though, is what I don't understand is why there's been such reluctance to allow people to have choice when it comes to vaccination. Now, what I'm talking about here is in particular is, of course, measles, mumps and rubella, the MMR. And when people came out and said, oh, we think there's a problem here, instead of saying, oh, well, all right, we'll separate them and see if it's... They did the opposite. At the time, these things were available separately, and they then banned them. And I find that bizarre. What I find bizarre is that when you're warned that even if you think that what the person has come out with is wrong, even if you think that, you should test the hypothesis. And this is what's happened in science, and that's why we wrote the book The Death of Science, because what we'd seen... have you got a copy of that?
Commander,
I certainly have.
Yes. Well, we wrote the copy of the Gus and I
like to keep it handy.
Oh, there it is. Gus and I wrote The Death of Science because
followed up by Profiting from Doom, of course.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
With a foreword by John Campbell. Yeah.
Oh, is that the same John Campbell that we know so well?
It could be.
Well, and thank you for writing that.
Very common name, of course.
Well, thank you for writing that forward. No,
it was great fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we were. Gus and I have been shocked by the way that science has been infiltrated by people who are clearly not scientists.
Yeah,
and that's
vested interest, shall we say? Yeah.
Well, people these days seem to think that if they say something loudly enough, it makes it so. And if they then insist it is so because their government, it is so, and they can say we are the science. Scientists know that if anybody comes out and says I am the science, we are the science, you have to follow this is the answer, that is definitely not science.
No, it's the antithesis of science. It's a bit like the English abroad, isn't it? You know, if you say something to someone and they don't understand, all you've got to do is say it in English louder.
Surprisingly enough, it usually works.
They'll understand as long as you shout, as long as you're shouting at them. You know.
Self-destructed.
I'll tell you what I have discovered, talking about being an Englishman abroad, is that as soon as I go to a country with a different language, I learn please and thank you in that language.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
Totally.
then, even if they can't understand your English, they're very pleased that you can actually say please and thank you, and they'll try and help you as much as possible.
You're trying to be polite, yeah. So, smallpox
Commander,
could
self-destructed.
be certainly the once plague. Let's hope it's not the future plague, but it could be.
I worry about monkeypox even, you see, because there's monkeypox is around and it's almost identical to smallpox.
Very similar virus, isn't it?
Oh yes, I think that
Commander,
you can't
self-destructed.
find any difference if you look under an electron microscope.
Really?
That's
That's
I
similar.
don't think that. I think from what I've read, that I mean I'm not an expert on that, but
The vaccination's pretty similar. I mean, the smallpox vaccination is good for
yes, it is. Yes,
good for
yes.
monkeypox as far as.
So
I
it
know.
has to be very, very similar, if not the very same thing, but in
Right.
monkeys. But yes, I worry about that. We could talk about one or two other diseases.
Yeah.
Typhoid,
Let's
for
go from a. Yeah, I want to do typhoid. I think looking in order of morbidity and mortality, maybe malaria is the next one. I mean,
Oh yes, of course.
is that still a big problem in the world?
Oh, it's a terrible problem. Malaria is, interestingly, malaria is a bigger problem than we thought it was going to be, because when in the 1950s and 1960s we were annihilating all of the mosquitoes with DDT.
Yep. Dichloral diphenyl trichloroethane.
That is correct.
Commander, destroyed.
Must have
Which
memorised
was-
that at some point.
Yes, I memorised that as well. I used to say to people that anti-disestablishmentarianism and flossie-nossi-illy-prolification were not the longest words in the English language. Dichloro-diphenyl trichloroethane was undoubtedly longer. And they say
Yeah.
that's not a real word, but of course it is.
Certainly is, even longer than velocipedestrianist trachelangianologist. Anyway,
But not
another
as long-
schoolboy nonsense.
But when the not me, but when scientists discovered that DDT was very detrimental to
Nasty-
animals,
nasty stuff, yeah.
and because
Commander,
I
self-destructed.
don't think it should have been surprising, because if you kill off the insects, you're going to then kill off all the animals that rely on the insects, particularly the birds, and that is exactly what happened.
Apart from the bioamplification direct toxic effect, of course.
Which, of course,
Yeah.
killed off in the end, worst of all, with the raptors. But
Yeah, there's another
They had
interesting
killed-
one of those. In India, a lot of the vultures were killed off by diclofenac,
yes, that's true. That's true.
which is a very common non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, and I can tell from personal experience an absolutely brilliant painkiller. When I
Right.
got knocked off my bike once, and I couldn't walk for about
Oh,
6
right.
weeks, and. If I took 100 milligrams of slow-acting diclofenac, I could get up and go to the loo and make my breakfast.
Wow.
And if you didn't take that, you couldn't walk for weeks. You know.
No.
And that was without any fractures. Great stuff. But what was happening in India was because of the sacred status of cows, the old cows, instead of eating them, that they were giving them diclofenac for their arthritis. And then when the
Yes.
cows were dying, they were being fed on by the.
They went into the vultures.
It went to the
But then
vultures,
they were
and it's not toxic to the cows, but it is remarkably toxic to raptors, to vultures and things like that.
and the talking about religions, also you have the Parsis there who when the person died, they put on the top of
Commander, destroyed.
a tower for the vultures to eat. There weren't
So-called
enough vultures-
air burials, yeah.
weren't enough vultures to eat them. So no, you're quite right.
Which has got massive cultural significance for those people.
But going back to the removal of DDT, before the removal of DDT, it was thought that we were on top of malaria because we got killed off so many of the mosquitoes.
Yeah,
and
Haemophilus,
when the
yeah.
DDT was banned, the mosquitoes made a massive return. So yes, it's still a big problem.
We've got this channel's got a project in Uganda, and we still get children being brought into the clinic too late. It's absolutely terrible.
Yes.
You know,
It's very, very difficult. But artemisinin, of course, was devised by a Chinese lady, wasn't it?
Nobel Prize in 2015.
Yes, and she was looking at previous knowledge in so much that it was known that the was it called the sweet wormwood?
Sweet wormwood. I'm actually growing it this year. I've got half a dozen really quite nice plants now.
Have you?
Yeah, I'll put in a photograph of them maybe as an edit. But they're really nice. They're a nice plant. They've got a nice smell to them, and the reason I'm studying them is the anti-malarial properties, really.
Of course, yes.
But in Italy, there's some very interesting anti-cancer stuff coming out in it as well. So.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
But given that the Artemisians did make it through to Big Pharma, it's not impossible that some of the alkaloids in this could get through. But interesting.
Yeah, I think that Big Pharma has gone down a rabbit hole, basically, with a lot of what they've been doing. They've been wasting their money looking at the wrong things. And if they had looked more at the botanical and biological systems rather than what they've done is created synthetic molecules, and they've used bigger and bigger computers to predict things, and almost none of that has led to any useful advance. And so they've been making their money from vaccines.
I suppose you could argue beta blockers have been fairly useful, but
battle resumed.
Well, do you think
that was a clean synthesized molecule, wasn't it? After heart attacks, they reduced the likelihood of having another one. So
yes, true. True.
For a while they were lowering blood pressure, but they're not the first.
Yeah, they will lower blood pressure, but of course I took the beta blocker to lower my blood pressure, and it made me quite weak and breathless. I couldn't run up hills or anything like that, whereas previously I could. But so if they had looked, and if they were now to look more at how evolution has protected itself against infections and against disease, that I believe is the better way a more likely way to find new medicines.
Ivermectin's a nice example of that, isn't it? I mean, the avermectins are produced by a particular bacterium, and
yes.
the
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they've only ever been discovered in Japan by Santoshi Omura, but he discovered these. I can't remember the type of bacteria now. I'll maybe put it on the screen, but they produce the avermectins, and the avermectins are completely devastating to the nervous systems of worms and things like that. So you had a nice clear area for the bacteria to thrive in, because the avermectins had killed off all the sort of potential bugs that might eat them in that area. And then of course Santoshi Omura discovered it. William Campbell refined it into ivermectin, and that's what's killed all these parasites. The
Yes.
parasites that used to block the lymph nodes, and they used to cause the river blindness, the
filariasis.
Filariasis in the limbs, and the one that affects the eyes. I can't remember
The
the name.
microfilariasis.
Something like that. Yeah. But I mean, transformed World Health, and then of course we're now convinced it has anti-COVID properties. There's no real question about that. And of course, we've been talking with Gus about anti-cancer properties. These natural molecules that can have so many pharmacodynamic modalities that a single design molecule simply doesn't have. I agree completely. We need to go back to the thousands of years of tradition that were forgotten.
Yes, and some of these things only work in partnership with other similar molecules, or maybe completely different molecules, or maybe several. So it has always been the idea that one should find a single molecule that would work. But in fact, it might be several. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, we do that in medicine. We use synergistic effects. So, when we could give morphine, we might give a phenothiazine with it because that, helps the morphine.
Yes, we do. Oh, yes,
there are things like that we can do. But, potentially in a herbal preparation, you've got half a dozen that are going to interact in potential synergistic ways that really are beyond pharmacodynamics, because it's almost like it forms a chaotic system, and you get these emergent therapeutic properties potentially.
You're completely right there. Idea. I believe that that's what it is, and I also think that a lot of the time we think we're dealing with a simple bacterium to remove or whatever. Think about tooth decay and think about what's going on there. In your mouth, around your teeth, there will be many different bacteria, and they can produce what's called a slime, and that is a complex structure.
Commander destroyed.
And I came up with the idea a little while ago that when you floss your teeth, it may not just be the flossing, the actual removal of stuff that affects it, but the disturbance of the structure of the slime. And I don't think anybody's actually looked at that. But
that's certainly true. But bacterial matting. So if you pick up pebbles from a river and they feel slimy, that's a bacterial coating on the top. Because the reason I learned about this was it's sometimes a problem in chronic wounds, as you'll know. That you can get these bacterial mats where the surface of the wound is entirely a bacterial mat, and that's inhibiting wound healing. And the only way to deal with it is sometimes a bit of brutality to physically disrupt that.
Yes, debridement. Debridement.
Well, debridement is just removal of the dead tissue, but removal of this bacterial slime. Yes, sometimes some of the nurses I work with would use wet to dry. So they put on a wet dressing, and then it's a bit brutal, but when they took that off and they pulled it off, it would pull off the surface layer with it, and then wound healing would resume after that because you got rid of these bacterial masses. Very, very interesting idea. The other thing that you've just said there that reminded me of a lot of things that were being found out opportunistically. Gus and myself were just talking about this. So many things have been found serendipitously.
Yes.
In medicine.
Yes.
For example, as you know now, Gus is working on low-dose naltrexone.
Yes.
Which was discovered by people withdrawing from heroin. It's absolutely fascinating. So malaria is this terrible insect-borne. It's actually a parasite, isn't it? It's a protozoan.
It is, yes.
It causes phenomenally high fevers. Can kill children at an appalling. Children can die appallingly quickly. I'm not advising people how to treat malaria. It's not my specialism. But my friends in Africa, they get children in, and the first thing they actually do is bring up the blood sugar because they become immensely hypoglycemic.
Yes.
And bring down these horrible high temperatures, which could be over 40 degrees centigrade. Then, of course, they give the specific antimalarials, and then often 12 hours later, the kids are running around again. But occasionally we do sit down and cry because a child's brought in too late and you don't make it.
No, that's right.
Appalling. I mean, how many children die a day in Africa from malaria? 1,000 a day, maybe, something like that. We don't really know. It's interestingly as well, it's one of the diseases which seems to spread whether or not human beings are having wars. And one of the things I say in Pandemic, that one, is that most
pandemics and big epidemics have occurred due to wars. That
Interesting.
it is human. What happens without war is that you have a disease in an area, but it doesn't spread outside that area. If it's a very, very nasty disease, it probably kills people off before it can spread.
Yeah. Which isn't in the virus's best interest, of course.
No, but if you have wars, major wars, then diseases can spread much, much more rapidly because of the huge movements of people being underfed,
living in difficult, unhygienic circumstances.
Yes, the water supplies are affected and all this sort of thing. So I actually think that most of the diseases that we've been talking about and we think about are spread due to wars or due to man's inhumanity to man. So if you say, well, what about the COVID? That wasn't a war. Well, if it was actually a bioweapon, and if they were actually creating it and trying it out on their political prisoners, that to me is an act of war.
Yeah.
So it is very interesting. And
yes.
How did they manage to make the viruses? Well, in other words, how did they change the COVID? Well, they passed it through humanized mice in the presence of other viruses.
These are mice which have got human genes in to produce transgenic organisms. So the mouse might produce, say, a human ACE2 type receptor, for example. It's still a mouse, but it's got some human genes in it.
So they actually got the viruses that they used from Canada. Now, how did they do that? There was a Chinese virologist, and she was working in a lab in Winnipeg, the only Category 4 biosafety Level 4 lab in Canada, and she stole viruses and she sent them through the post to Canada. When they discovered this,
to China. From Canada back to China.
Sorry, yes. Sent her, this virologist, when they discovered what had happened, they deported her from Canada to China.
I remember that. Yeah.
And without that bit of espionage, which is what it was, I don't believe they'd have been able to make the COVID-19. And
although they were getting some of the virus from bats in northern Thailand and northern Laos, weren't they?
They were the coronaviruses. They had 200 coronaviruses, but the point is that they passed the coronavirus through the humanized mice in the presence of AIDS, Ebola, and probably Nipah virus. Now, those are the viruses that were stolen from Canada.
And this is when you can get the genetic shift rather than the genetic drift.
Yes.
When you have two viruses infecting one cell at the same time.
Absolutely. Now, the thing about it is, this is not natural evolution, because the chance of a human being, don't forget they're humanized mice.
Yeah.
The chance of a human being catching a coronavirus and then being in the presence of 3 other viruses
at the same time. Yeah.
At the same time, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You might be in the presence of one other virus, but you might have a virus and then another virus, but you're not going to have 3 other viruses. And this is why they should never have done that sort of work. And that is why gain-of-function studies of this nature, which I call them make another disease studies, which is MAD or MAD, and make another disease studies should be totally banned, but they've still been doing them. And going back again to the COVID, the Pfizer people were caught making a variant of the COVID, and their argument was, yes, but we needed to do that in order to make the next vaccine. That's been the argument given all along, isn't it? That's the argument given all along. And so they make another disease and they've got a vaccine against it. Oh, surprisingly, that's very good for their coffers, isn't it?
In that case, it's not mad, is it? It's strategy.
Yes, that's right. That's strategy.
It's good business. Good business, Paul.
Strategically, another disease. That's sad, rather
Mad
than
for the
mad.
rest of us. Indeed. Yeah.
So typhoid.
No, I was going to. I was just thinking. Something's just come to mind. When I was a child, we used to have a nursery rhyme. I don't know if they still got it. Ring a roses, a pocket full of posies,
that's
a tissue, we all fall down. And we used to play this in the playground. Did you?
Yes, we did. And,
Yeah,
and
we
of course
used to
it
join
was-
hands and run around and sing "Ring a roses," and everyone fell down.
And supposedly this was due to the Black Death.
Go ahead, tell us.
That's what.
Let's unpick it.
so-
What's a ring of roses?
What is the Ring of Roses? I suspect that is the.
I think it's the rash, isn't it? It's got to be the.
I was going to say that. Yes, you're quite right. I think it is that. I think it's the actual rash that you
The red
see.
rash,
But,
yes. A ring of
the-
roses.
There's another ring like that I'm reminded of, and that is the target.
Yeah, in Lyme's disease, yeah.
In Lyme's disease, and that's
We might come on to that. That's another ring of roses. Pocket full of posies. Posies are the old word for flowers, isn't it?
Yes, because they believe that they could protect you from this. A nostrum, it was called, wasn't it?
It makes sense because it smells nice. They smell nice.
It smells nice. And the
And
disease,
the disease
smells
is
bad.
caused by malaria.
Yes,
and
you have a
miasmas.
nostrum to
Yeah.
protect.
So
you.
these big long beaks that they used to have.
That was protect them again from from the effect of the bad air.
Yeah. And they were
Yes.
full of flowers that
The
smelled.
miasma.
The miasmas, yeah, that's
From
right.
The miasma.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I actually do think there is some truth in the miasma story, because the difference between the miasma story and the germ theory is that with the miasma, you're thinking that there are toxins, poisons in the air, not infected things, but you can be poisoned by the air, and that particularly occurs with that occurs when there's toxic mold. Toxic mold
Good choice,
produces.
yeah. Farmer's lung and things
produces-
like that, yeah.
Yes, these produce toxins which you may not infect you as such, but it can cause you to have a nasty disease. So what happened? The miasma theory went out of favour because the germ theory was shown to be so successful. But that doesn't mean that the miasma theory was completely wrong. The miasma theory does not have to be wrong because the germ theory is right. Yeah.
So miasma was the prevalent idea that diseases were spread through back. This is where we get mal. Mal means abnormal or painful. Malaria.
Yes.
The miasma theory of disease. And of course the tissue is the potential for the bubonic plague to go into the pneumonic form. And after that you die pretty quickly. So Yersinia pestis is the causative organism of this infectious plague, isn't it? Why do we call
Used
it?
to be called Pastorella pestis, didn't it? Do you remember that?
No.
Well, in the old days-
Yersinia is the name of the scientist, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but
Yeah.
it was from the Pasteur Institute, so they
Oh, I
called it
see.
the Pastorella pestis, and only later, I think probably after he died, did they change the name to Yersinia.
Yeah.
But,
and
yes.
black because these pustules go black. Is that the necrosis? Is that where the black comes
Yes,
from?
that's right. The interesting thing was that there was also a respiratory side to it, and the Black Death could be spread by the pneumonic version. I wonder whether or not there was a coronavirus going around in a syncytial or syncytial effect with the pestis, Yersinia pestis, because they reckon that there is a similar coronavirus that has become less and less pathogenic. But when they looked at it, they said that it probably evolved around about the same time, in 1400, 1450.
And there is some very curious historical epidemiology surrounding the Great Black Death that came to this country in 1348. Of course, it had been around Europe before then. You know, where like a whole street will get the infection kind of more or less simultaneously. So,
which is very hard to understand when you think it's due to black rats and their there was, I remember about 30, 40 years ago, that there was this idea that it could be a viral infection, but since then, with the advent of the genetic analysis, we know for sure from looking at the teeth of, so if you you know, there's great plague burial pits undoubtedly
all over the place. You look in the teeth and you find Yersinia pestis DNA.
We know that Yersinia pestis was the cause, but what we don't know is, was there anything else with it?
Correct. Yeah.
And as I said before over about the miasma, because one thing is correct, it doesn't necessarily mean that the other thing is wrong.
Yeah, it's a good point. But I mean, I think it's worth going over some of the basic biology of the plague. So this Yersinia pestis, it's carried in rats and rodents of the reservoir,
and it doesn't have to be the black rat, even though
a whole variety of rodents. Yeah, and then they're bitten by fleas, and so it goes from the blood in the rats into the gastrointestinal system in the flea. It stops them from swallowing, and the fleas start regurgitating this stuff, and then when they bite you, it comes out, and the Yersinia pestis pours out of the mouth of the flea into the human, and that causes the bubonic form, with these horrible buboes, these big swellings in the lymph nodes, and then it goes to the lungs sometimes, and that causes the pneumonic form, and that's how it spread from person to person. So,
well, the first big outbreak we know of was the Justinian plague of 540.
I'm going to challenge you in a minute, but go on, tell us about that.
Yes, because that occurred
540.
When Justinian was retaking the Roman Empire. And he managed to take North Africa, he managed to take Spain, he was just about to take the good bit of Italy, because he, of course, was based in Constantinople.
Yep, the early Byzantine, yeah.
And then the plague started to spread. And it killed off half or more of his soldiers, and he had to withdraw back to Byzantium.
And we do know that was Yersinia pestis from genetic studies, so that is, I understand that's pretty well confirmed. Now let me take you to 1 Samuel chapter 5, I believe it is.
Oh yes.
The Philistines had captured the Ark of the Covenant.
Yes.
Put it in the temple of Dagon. And the Dagon statue fell over a couple of times, I believe, and but the Philistines were afflicted with a plague that caused. Now, the translation in the authorized version is hemorrhoids or emeroids, but that's based on a rather crude translation.
Yes,
it basically means lumps, tumours.
So what you're saying is that could well have been the first. I like that.
Yeah, and we're talking about 1 Samuel. I guess we're talking about 1200 BC. So you've got the idea that there's a plague which is massively transmissible, spread throughout the entire population really quickly, and it caused people to get sick. It caused people to die, and it caused lumps, tumours, as it was described. So. Yeah. Interesting idea. Would kind of fit.
Well, I've not heard that one before, but I like it. Where did you get that from? That's a good one.
Oh, it's one site. It's in the Bible. Yeah, it's called the plague.
No, I know it's in the Bible.
I don't know. I've heard it. I mean, I think it's a fairly well recognised theory, although I do make things up from time to time. I sometimes confuse reality with my own imagination.
Well, don't we all? Yeah.
No, it's a recognised idea that it could have been an early
Yes.
form of bubonic plague.
Oh, yeah. Well,
And then, of course, going into the pneumonic form, which would give rise to the transmissibility. And shortly after that, there is, I think, some Old Testament law on rodent control as well. So, the two do kind of... It's an interesting idea. People can accept it or reject it. If there's an outbreak of bubonic plague now, would that be a problem?
Probably not, because antibiotics can deal with it.
Yeah.
But
And in fact, there are. I actually think my brother might have had it.
yes,
He was working in Hyderabad in India, and he got really sick, and he went in for some IV antibiotics, and he got better straight away. I think he might have had a bit of pneumonic form of
yes.
It's quite possible. I can't prove that, but there are outbreaks of the pneumonic form from time to time, but very, very thankfully very sensitive to antibiotics. So
Yes, no, that's not one I'm scared of now.
no, just imagine if we could go back with modern antibiotics. I mean, if we think about the Black Death in 1348, just imagine the situation. It's a bit like people 100 years later in South America. 40-50% of your village die.
Yes, I tell you what though.
Just think about that. Just think about that, though. I mean, half of your family die, half of your friends die, half of your workmates die. It's just
one of the
unimaginable to us.
But one of the things it did was it got rid of the serfdom system, because there was such a shortage of labour that they had to pay for labour.
Yeah.
And before that, they didn't. Although we didn't have slavery as such in Britain, we did have serfdom, and that's so
pretty
close.
well slated.
Pretty much the same. But that was destroyed by the Black Death.
Well, it helped, and then there's one of my greatest heroes in history, Wat Tyler,
Yes.
who led
Yes.
the Peasants' Revolt and was
Peasants' Revolt.
treacherously dealt with by the king.
He was. Yeah.
But the first great working class hero, Wat Tyler, very
He was.
underestimated.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't beat a working class hero.
No,
Yeah,
he
so-
certainly
so-
was a working class hero.
Yeah, he certainly was. Yeah, so that's bubonic plague. Come and go, but thankfully eminently treatable at the moment. Now, the next one. Tell me when you get bored. By the way, Paul. But I just find this so interesting. Should we do tuberculosis?
Yes. Tuberculosis is interesting. Tuberculosis is interesting because people didn't want to believe that it was a contagious disease, but it quite clearly was. And there were some places in the world where they obviously knew it was contagious because they basically didn't have it, and somebody would come in with it and spread it to them.
Yeah.
There are various different forms of it, as we know. We normally think of it as affecting the lungs, which of course it does. And when it affects the lungs, it particularly affects the apices of the lungs,
The top bits up here.
the tops, because it seems to like aeration. It seems to like good, well aerated areas in the lungs, and it doesn't affect the bases to the same extent, whereas other pneumonias quite frequently will affect the base of the lung. But it also affects things like the spine, and that's a well-known condition of Pott's disease, it's called. And it also affects the neck, and in the lymph nodes in the neck.
Well, I think we should just say this is not postural orthostatic tachycardic syndrome. This is the degeneration of the. Tell us what POTS is in that context, Paul.
Well, Pott's disease is an infection of the spine itself, and the spine collapses, and the person will have a fairly typical posture. They'll have a sharp kyphosis. Their spine, their backbone will be bent.
Sort of
like that.
bent forward, yeah.
Bent forward like that, and that's actually shown in Egyptian paintings. Also some of the mummies have this. So that's
tuberculosis of the vertebrae.
Tuberculosis of the vertebrae.
And this is something you can recognise pretty well instantly, is it, on X-ray?
Yes. And these days, of course, on MRI, you get the most amazing pictures of the.
MRI is too easy, isn't it? You know, it's just like looking at the actual anatomy. Even I can recognise things on MRIs. They're just absolutely brilliant.
Yes, it is. It's an astonishing technique. So you can see it on MRI. The disease in the neck, scrofula.
Scrofula? I didn't know how to pronounce that. Scrofula, right.
Well, scrofula causes the enlargement of the neck, and
from the lymph nodes primarily.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
For 1,000 years or so, they believe that.
I'm going to have to learn that word. Yeah. Sorry.
You can be scrofulous if you have it. Anyway, they believe that the kings of France, and then of France and England, could, for 1,000 years or so, they believed that the kings of France initially, and then France and England, could cure scrofula by giving the sufferer a gold coin.
This is called the King's Touch, isn't it?
It is. That is. And actually, I'll tell you what. If you don't mind waiting for a minute, I can run and get a touch piece to show.
Across the country
Welcome, Commander.
and around the world. A weekly targeted individual conference call focused on support, discussion, and the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Featuring a special TI Book Club segment. This is Targeted West, and here's your host, DJ Chris. The opinions expressed by participants are their own and not necessarily those of Targeted West.
Yeah.
Please choose your starting location.
85 degrees here in Lodi. home of the 200-year grapevines. Just as good as Napa. It's show number 225, 823. It's open mic tonight. This is DJ Chris. We have a website to check out, targetedwest.com. And of course, we're here tonight with all my friends and here to talk about V2K, which is synthetic telepathy. The dreams that people are getting, including me. And I get V2K also. And I've written a book about it, so check it out. It's on Amazon. It's called My Synthetic Telepathy Book. My Synthetic Telepathy, so check it out. Anyway, it's open mic, so people can chime in and talk if they want. There's no agenda tonight, no guests or anyone. So come on in if you'd like to talk. We're in the middle of having our floor installed, so if you're wondering what that noise is in the background, it's laminate, and it's Uniqlick, and it's light oak, and it's $1.99 a square foot at Lowe's. And this time Lowe's didn't treat us like
Battle
criminals.
started.
They actually let us buy the flooring and didn't accuse us of something. So, anyway, it's open mic if you'd like to talk. Come on in. Charlie's in the house. We got all the great people that I know. Glamour Girl Cat's in the house.
Battle, pause.
Hannah, Love and Kisses. Okay.
Friendly player, lagging behind.
We got Name, who has me and gets the call rolling every time we start up. We've got Laura and Anthony. We've got some Anonymous, and Betty's here, and Gigi, and Steve, and Garbo, and Adi is here, and Jim. I hope I got everybody. Yeah, I think I did. Oh, and now we have caller O coming in on a call, and of course you're wondering about this. You can come to the call too. Go to TI Events or TIEvents.org, or go to targetedwest.com and click on Join Call, and you can be here and be a part of it and contribute. Tell us about your targeting and what you're going through. It doesn't have to necessarily be about V2K or dreams. It could be about directed energy weapons. It could be about gang stalking your neighbors. It could be about poisonings, workplace trouble. I've had people talk to me about that.
Battle resumed.
A lot of workplace trouble these days.
Friendly player
People
caught
are
up.
not as cool as they used to be.
Battle
So
resumed.
that's trouble in society. And then when
Battle
you're targeted
paused.
individually, you end up being harassed even
Friendly
more.
player
It's almost
lagging
like
behind.
you have a red flag and they just know or
Unit
something.
received.
Anyway, it's open mic if you'd like to talk. Come on in.
How you doing? How you doing, Chris?
Hey. Hey, Charlie. What's going on? Just over here putting the laminate in, as you can hear.
Unit
You doing it
received.
yourself?
Yeah, we do all our own work, yeah, within reason.
Oh, okay. Now, have you been following the Lindsay
Unit
Clancy
received.
file?
Ah, boy, you did good. I forgot to write that down. Yes, the Lindsay Clancy event where she heard a voice telling her to kill her kids and then kill herself. That is totally V2K. Don't you agree?
I do. I was watching an interview on, I don't know if it was on News Nation or Fox News, because I kind of switch off. But they were interviewing somebody, and they were talking about the voices that she was listening to. And then the reporters said that there were reports that the voices were a male voice. And then the person that the interviewer was interviewing with dismissed
Battle
it
paused.
as, you know,
Friendly player lagging
his
behind.
reason was that she was, you know, basically crazy. But you know, you know, if it was male voice that she's been hearing, then it wouldn't be her voice that she's hearing, right? In her
Yeah,
head.
exactly. And, you know, like at my beginning of my Void V2K, it was a man and a woman interrogating me. So how could I imitate a man and a woman?
Yeah, how could you hear a woman? You know, if you're a man, you'd be hearing a male. So it's your
Right,
voice. Right?
exactly.
You're hearing yourself talk. You would be hearing a male voice telling you.
Battle resumed.
So, you know, he dismissed it.
Friendly
because
player caught up.
Then, you know,
Enemy
they didn't want
units
to open
spotted.
up the case that it could be V2K and
Low
somebody
power.
sending a frequency into her head, right? They dismiss it because they don't want to believe that could happen,
Units under attack.
right? And that would prove
No,
her.
I
Unit
agree.
lost.
A lot of people know about it, but
Aircraft
if
detected.
you disclose it, you could get hurt. So that's why they're so quiet about it.
Yeah. Well, you know, yeah, she was. They definitely targeted, probably with the V2K, and she didn't understand it. And you know, they may have constantly told her to do this over and over again for who knows how long, right? And to a point where she actually killed the kids, right? Thinking
Yeah.
that was her voice. You know, she was hearing herself thinking, right?
Yeah, but any logical person wouldn't go killing their kids because some voice in their head told them to do it unless she really didn't like them.
There was a case. A couple or few years back. I think it was more like 2 years ago, in California. In fact, that a man took his kids
Low
over
power.
the border. Was ordered by voices to take his children because those children are the devil, and to take them across the border and kill them. And that's exactly what he did. I could pull up the
Friendly
case really
commander
quick and find out. I
self-destructed.
could Google it. But that's an actual. Does anybody remember that?
I don't, but that's great to bring that up. That's a super good.
I'm gonna look up that case right now on Google while everybody else is talking, and I'm gonna come back to the call with that information.
Oh, I disagree with that. You know, she's postpartum maybe, or she's unstable to begin with, and I think, you know, you could think somebody to do
Battle
that.
paused.
You know, who knows, you know, what her
Friendly
thinking
player
is,
lagging
right?
behind.
You know, she may be thinking
Yeah.
double.
Battle
So
resumed.
if she's alive to interrogate for the rest of her life, and
Friendly
then,
player
of course,
caught
you
up.
know, they'll find out the truth.
Your team
Yeah,
reached
yeah.
Tech 2.
But, you know how evil this is, you know,
Enemy
they're probably
commander
sitting back
destroyed.
and, you know, glad that they made her do this, right? Most likely, right?
Yes, it's a win for them. It's a game.
Units
It's a
under
win.
attack.
I found the case, you guys.
Go ahead, Anthony.
It's called The Case You're Referring to Involves Matthew Taylor Coleman, a surf school owner from Santa Barbara, California, who confessed to killing his 2 young children in Mexico in August 2021 after experiencing severe conspiracy-driven delusions. The crime in August 2021, Coleman took his 2-year-old son and 10-month-old daughter to Rosarito, Mexico. He killed them using a spearfishing gun and left their bodies at a nearby ranch. The authorities tracked his phone using the iPhone locator app. Federal agents arrested
Enemy
him in
commander
Tennessee's
destroyed.
port of entry as he tried to cross back into the United States alone. The motive and delusions. According to the federal criminal complaint filed by the FBI, conspiracy theories. Coleman told investigators he had been enlightened by QAnon and
Friendly
Illuminati
commander
conspiracy
self-destructed.
theories serpent DNA. He claimed to have received visions and signs indicating that his wife possessed serpent DNA and had passed it on to his children. The delusion. He stated he believed his children were going to grow up into monsters and that killing them was only the course of action that would save the world. Legal status. Federal charges. The U.S. Attorney's Office indicted Coleman on 6 counts of foreign first-degree murder of U.S. nationals. Competency disputes. The legal proceedings have faced severe delays due to his mental state. Because he was found mentally incompetent to stand trial, federal judges have ordered that he undergo psychiatric treatment and involuntary medication in an effort to restore his legal competency so the trial can proceed. And that's the end of the article. But there's several articles in here going from NBC New York to the Mercury News, which is Northern California, ABC News, ABC San Diego, Los Angeles Department of Justice. So there's a lot of. So I believe that that woman that's standing trial right now, I believe that she's a victim. Not only a victim, but she's a target, just like us.
Right. You know,
I agree. What do you think, Garbo? What do you think?
Well, yeah, I think so too. But funny that you all mentioned that. I was on a YouTube today, and it's supposedly in Nigeria, people are abandoning their children, thinking that they're demonic. Yeah, babies, 2-year-olds.
Yeah, this is all ops. They're all ops, and especially since this guy was a QAnon follower, that's even more evidence for me. I mean, it's circumstantial, but still, it leans more to that side.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know her. We don't know, she's all armchair psychology. But we know about the BTK.
Units under attack.
And they can do this.
Unit lost.
To many people, and they are doing this to many people. And, highly likely that they did this to her for some reason, We don't know why she was targeted or so forth, right? But, psychology, people who are unstable hear voices, right? I mean, not everyone is D2K, and a lot of people are mentally, unstable and hear voices, right? Do you agree with that? Not all D2K?
Well, there's people that are crazy in this world that hear voices that aren't targeted. I agree with that.
Yeah. Well,
there's crazy people they target too to cover it up.
Yeah, I had an uncle who was crazy, and
Metal extractor
lost. He worked at Staten Island Ferry, and I was told by my father that there was some kind of mass shooting on the ferry, and he went kind of crazy after experiencing that. Anyway, he was, he used to put the tinfoil hat on, wear sweaters, and, did a lot of weird things, right? He wasn't targeted, I know that.
But that sounds like legitimate targeting to me. I mean, if he's wearing a tinfoil hat to try to shield himself, this didn't just start latter days in the last few years. This program has been going on for decades, even before World War II, where they would pick and choose which families to eliminate through eugenics. So this isn't a new thing that we're experiencing through targeting. He may as well seriously been a target, not just cuckoo.
No, yeah, I think he was crazy, unfortunately. Once he used to drive around, in New York City. He used to have a scooter, and he used to drive around on the scooter. One time, he went to the police station and jammed the scooter in the front door so the cops couldn't get out. So, I don't know why he did that. He was fine when he was on his medication, but once he got off the medication, he went back. unfortunately. He's a good guy too. Before, when I knew him, he was stable. He was a really good
Metal
guy.
extractor lost.
Sad how he ended up. But we all know it's probably a high percentage that this woman was targeted. And, the V2K, these people are just evil and would do this to her,
I wonder why wonder why they picked her. That's the big question I have. If she started her, what did she do to cause that?
I just have to look at the husband. I'm sorry.
Remember, you don't have to necessarily do anything to be targeted.
Yeah.
Remember that. It's not like you're getting punished for something.
No, I know, but it could be like joining a club or an organization. Anything settled could be used.
Yeah, it could be the husband, alimony.
I think the husband has a lot more to say. I think there's something about the pink phones. I think there's about her heart rate was too low. Anybody that would commit murders like that, the adrenaline alone would raise their heart rate to an unbelievable amount. You're outside of your body.
Commander
so
taking heavy damage.
Her heart rate was low. There was other things that she's going to indicate. Her DNA is not found, so.
She was handled. I think she was handled.
Yeah, I do too.
We should go to the trial. Talk to the prosecutor.
Yeah, we should go to her defense and talk to. I mean, that's horrible that she killed her children, but it still needs a defense.
Metal extractor lost.
I think.
Yeah, you should have.
Friendly commander self-destructed.
I don't know if the trial's continuing on this week or not. I know it's ongoing, right? So.
I think the jury's got it now.
Oh, really? I know Anna mentioned it on her podcast on Friday about
how horrible for them to deliberate her life and death, or the rest of her existence, and the jury not knowing about this program, and then they're going to sentence her to
Unit
her
received.
fate.
Well, probably life in prison or
well,
life.
That doesn't mean, that's no consolation for losing her. First of all, losing her mind to this program, and then losing her children and her life. And then the jury's not even going to know. They're going to go into the deliberation not knowing anything about this program or the weapon.
I know, yeah. I know.
What happens when that does come out, though, in evidence? For example, it looks like, because we're seeing more and more of it come out, eventually it may come out to be used in defense. People are like, well, my mind was being controlled. How much responsibility can I possibly, do I owe here?
Well, I know every life sentence, every murder, life or death sentence that you
lost.
Gets an automatic appeal. So they get if she gets a death sentence or a life, they'll get an automatic appeal. Or a defense lawyer worth their salt, will automatically file an appeal. So that she can have another trial. A second trial if she's found guilty. So in that second trial, hopefully this evidence that is coming up in other people's cases can come up in their next trial.
Right, but I think that it just because you've been proven that you've had some mind control, I don't think that should necessarily completely absolve a person. There still needs to be some responsibility, just like there is for an alcoholic, for example. They didn't ask for their disease. The drug that they take makes them do things that they had no intention on doing, and then they are not at fault because they didn't ask for what happened to them, but they have to be responsible to make things work again, so that we can all get moving with our lives again.
Yes. Well, it's premeditated. There's different levels of manslaughter, right? So. then they try to overturn it in saying that she's mentally ill, mentally ill from the V2K, right? Let's say they go back.
It certainly wouldn't be mental illness.
Well, at that point it is. I think at that point it is. At that point it is when you're committing murder. They're giving you to the point of mental illness. I think.
Yeah. It was mind control.
Strongly disagree with that. This would have to be its own character, its own thing. It doesn't fit into mental illness at all. That's a naturally occurring thing. This is something, that's coaxed. It would be. This is what I'm trying to say is that I agree that there should be another trial. But what needs to happen is that we need to come to a recognition and a determination and an agreement on how it should be handled. How much responsibility goes to the people that committed these crimes that have been proven that they actually were, affected. I don't mean to yell.
These people are psychopaths. They're mentally ill. That's a mental illness.
Sorry.
No, it gets us all. I think it gets us all our emotions, all of us up. It certainly does.
Friendly commander
It's so unfair. It seems so unfair that she's going to face justice and that the jury doesn't know the whole facts, all the facts.
Yeah, I apologize if I fed into the emotion. I'm not an emotional person. I don't actually.
Friendly player resigned.
But I know that other people do, so I apologize if my actions fed into that.
No, not at all. I wasn't. When I was responding, I wasn't challenging you. I was just saying. I don't believe. I agree with you. Actually, I just think that psychopaths. That's the only thing that. I mean, I don't think that this woman is a psychopath that did that, right?
They would have to check on that. Psychopathy in itself would not be enough to get her off. I mean, that's. I don't believe that does anything. You know what I mean?
How many of us sometimes? There's the hypnosis part of this
Nuclear
too.
bomber
So maybe
detected.
may have been in hypnotic trance when it happened. Some people are finding that they're maybe hypnotized, opening the door and forgetting some things that they do around the house. Maybe it's a hypnosis when she was in, and that's what I would like to ask.
Hey, I tuned in late. Can I ask who you guys are talking about?
There's a woman that she had
Your team reached
most likely, and she killed her children, and there's a trial going on currently.
Okay. Okay. I thought maybe you were talking about
Commander under attack.
But never mind. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Metal extractor lost.
We're not talking about anyone on this call or anyone in our community, by the way.
Commander taking
I
heavy
thought you were
damage.
talking about another TI. So it sounded like
Commander
somebody was being
destroyed.
targeted. Thank you.
Happens a lot. I've written on this many times, you guys. I've written a series on, this sort of a thing. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's gotten too old, hasn't it? You know what this reminds me of? It's come to a head. It reminds me of the way things got when people kept dying of drugs in the 60s and the 70s, and then it got to the 80s, and by the time John Belushi died, we were goddamn sick of it. Okay, we had enough of this dying of drug stuff, and I think that's where we're at, and I apologize if I'm getting a little loud. I'll back off. It's time. We've reached, as much as we can handle of this crap.
But this is a part of law. Whether or not she was, it's being coerced, right? Are you being coerced into doing something, right? And that's what I think what under the law comes under, right? She was coerced into killing.
What do you know about
her children?
Keep talking.
Coerced into doing it using V2K, right?
Right.
You understand she was also Big Pharma. I also on Big Pharma. She was on
Well,
Big
I
Pharma.
agree.
Okay, so let's not just put it to BTK. Don't do that. Don't please.
I don't think.
Friendly
I don't
player
do that.
resigned.
She was on Big Pharma, and Big Pharma. She was so drugged by what they had done. She was lethargic.
She was
So of course it could be coerced.
malleable is the word.
Yes, it was terrible. It was terrible. Who was that? She had an enabler giving her that. So if you're giving I don't like Big Pharma. I don't take anything. I don't touch Advil, Aleve, nothing. Nothing touches my body like that.
You have to start. I think you have to start with a certain person, like within them to do something like that. Because, but I don't know. It's hard to tell because we're aware of it.
You're getting a
You're
lot
not
of
going to
feedback.
get a real story from media. Media is going to paint this as what they want it to be. And it's unfortunate that this has happened, but 3 lives of small children are gone. Gone. And I understand she's a mother, and I understand what she was going through the postpartum. However, we need to find her handler and enabler, and I still say there's something going on with the husband and something else. He was connected with somebody else, and she was drugged a lot. She was heavily drugged. And then something else.
Similar to President Trump's assassin. The 22-year-old kid could not pull off the assassination attempt by himself.
Her body was taken over. Her body was taken over, and she killed her children, and she was remote controlled, and that's the end of it.
I agree. I agree.
Well, just for a note, I'm on site to do fine, and I don't kill anybody. And I'm not tired or worn out.
That's not your program, though. That's not what they have planned for you, DJ.
Yeah, boy. Okay.
The sad thing about it is they take us and they nitpick every little thing they want to. They want to, where you went to school, what dress you wore, what dress you didn't wear, how you wore your hair, what your parents did, what did you eat, what did you not eat. It's to the point like, being a BTK for over 30 years, I go like, you have got to be kidding me. You're, sometimes I just go like, let's get a reality grip on what's really going on. You accessed me without permission. Number 1. Number 2, you do voyeurism. Number 3, you do song entrainment, brain entrainment. You have not helped me.
Welcome, Commander.
You have not made me a better person. You have not discovered revelations about me or redirected my life. I redirected my life without you. I did that before you accessed me, but then you didn't think I would be strong enough to endure all that you gave me because I had redirected my life. So that's what really makes me upset about this program, because it's getting worse and worse and worse, yet it's more prevalent and it's spoken more about openly. I can literally say it. I don't talk about it a lot publicly because of the type of job I have, but I will talk about it. I'll just draw hints and somebody will go like, yeah, you know what? I've noticed XYZ. I have a friend of mine, XYZ. I've noticed this, and yes, I think this is, something that is absolutely possible. I work with people from 20 years of age and older. Your 20-year-olds know about this very much.
Please choose your
They're
starting
very
location.
aware about it.
Thank you for that. We'll take a little break for a moment, and we'll be right back with a message from our friends at TI Events.
Hosting a conference call?
Planning a rally?
Launching a workshop?
Then why isn't it listed on TIevents.org? TI Events is where the TI community looks.
And if it's a major event?
They'll even build you a complimentary dedicated event page with full details and RSVP capability.
So, more visibility?
Absolutely. More visibility, bigger audiences, and the reach your event deserves. TIEvents.org. List your event today.
Complimentary pages available for select events.
That's gievents.org. Thank you. Now back to the conversation.
Battle ended.
Can I talk about an article or two that I've written recently? I want to give you the first shot, Chris, because you've always been good to me. You had me on your show 3 times. I have my own conference call now. I was kind of holding on to it, not something I'm used to doing. I usually just bring the stuff right out to you guys, when I publish something or something along those lines. Now, I did publish this, but I didn't make a video or come to the conference about it, but I wanted to do it here. Let's talk about, I'm going to go ahead and put it into the chat here. It was something that came to me. Now, when I was working, I used to be an electrician. And there's various types of circuits. I don't know if we got any other electricians or anybody that's into electronics out there. These things that I'm discussing here are found in both fields. There's the concept of a relay. And the way that a relay works is there's a job that needs to be done that takes a lot of power. But it needs to be switched on and off. Now, we use relays for that, low voltage lines to operate, to turn on or off the high power. So I suggested that perhaps the various technologies that are at play here may be used in this configuration. I don't know that it's been considered before, and I just wanted to throw it out there as a potential piece in the puzzle in case things are not connecting, especially when I get to the point where I'm putting it all together there. So that's there in case people are interested. I think that was a particularly insightful moment, but let's move on. You guys might like this one even better. Because this one is discussed all the time. It's, what's the damn purpose of the program? I was in a conference call the other night. I want to say last night or the night before. And what happened was there was a bunch of people talking. They really like to hear themselves talk. They were going on and on, and about what they thought. Nobody was offering any substantiated evidence or anything along those lines, just personal opinion. But I was listening to it. I was like, man, I got to get up out of here. Before I did, I caught something something that made me realize that there was something of value here. I'm going to put it into the chat now. I think this potentially settles it. All of the evidence, for the most part, except for one bit, points to it being, the government. Even the NASA document that I'm about to write on suggests, it points to 100% that it's a, population control
Welcome, Commander.
situation. That it's a program put out there to control and lower populations. But we also see there's one aspect of it.
Please choose your starting location.
That I've never been able to account for under that explanation, and that is the remarkable cruelty that a lot of TIs see. What is the deal there? And we see various explanations. I've seen people say that, they give us all this and they make it cruel because they serve gods, in various dimensions that feed off of our suffering. And I don't know, maybe that's true. I can't say that that's false. I can't prove it's false. But I mean, what I would say is most likely Occam's razor in this situation is that it's a combination population control situation, program plus revenge for hire. The problem with the revenge for hire concept is that it's financially, unworkable. Well, not if it's piggybacking along on the back of a government program that's already in process. They'll just print up some more money. So this combination of explanations covers everything that I've seen. And you guys might enjoy those articles. That's all I got for you.
My quick answer to I would like to add to that.
Started.
Sure.
I think people are basically just cruel. And there are some of us that are just monsters.
and sadists and just live for the thrill of murder, just have a heart on to kill. And case in point, back in the 1990s during Sarajevo, during the Yugoslavian War for independence, now they foreigners would go into Sarajevo and pay the local governments in order to go up on the hilltops and snipe civilians going out to gather food and water. And this was occurring. People all over the world would go, and there's an investigation right now going on from Italy, investigating their citizens going to the hunts. So if you got people like that in this world, I think people are just basically cruel and evil and mean. And there's some of us that are just plain monsters. And that's why they have these jobs. And if you ever read
Battle paused.
Stostonisky's
Friendly player lagging behind.
I forgot how to say his name, but it's the Gulag Archipelago. Gulag Archipelago. Now, in that book, he explains how they weed out the pussyfoots, the ones that won't do the cruel and evil sadistic acts. You don't necessarily get out and out fired. They might give you a pencil pushing job, but those cruel thugs and those evil bastards, they go up in the ranks. They excel. Those are the thug torturers with the whips and clubs. Those are the ones that get all the jobs. And they'll weed out anybody that's weak or that has any form of sympathy or compassion.
Right, but in your own model here, you've described both people that a spectrum, people that are more likely and less likely. So we already know that exists. But on top of that, since that exists, why wouldn't they make use of it by a revenge for hire situation? There's nothing that you've said here that gets in the way of what I'm suggesting.
One thing I wanted to add, you named a few things that you thought this program summed up. I also want to add that they're feeding and boosting the economy as well.
Well, we're about to lose the country, though. It's going to be a global situation under a one world government, so that's going to amount to very little. Not only that, my expectation is they will tank the economy to make it more easy to make the transition before it's all done.
Throughout all of history, if anybody knows anything about history, even if we just took the Romans, for example, and pulling people out in the Colosseum, letting people watch them be destroyed by lions. If all of history, people have been cruel. So I thank Anthony for bringing that up, and evil, and that's the whole reason, that's the whole issue about Christianity, why Christianity came into being, because people are more and evil. Amen.
This is weaponizing that fact. The truth of the matter is that is individuals that people have potential for goodness, but once individuals are given power, money, that goes away, and history shows that to be true. There's a switch that's flipped, and we can see that over and over again throughout history. Power, it makes the mind go crazy. They start seeing different things. Look at the movie Wag the Dog. You know what I mean? We elect a government to help us out, but any government that is harmful to a population is illegal. And now, what do you think that makes the governments that are looking over us now? They were put in place to help us. They've decided that we're unnecessary now. I mean, this is just unbelievable.
Nowadays, it's no different than all of history. And the Roman Colosseum story is a perfect example. We're exactly right there. And those people that they pulled out in the Colosseum to be destroyed by lions, they probably had no power. That's probably why they were drug out and killed.
Like Hunger Games.
Yeah, but our situation is more urgent. I love, history and movies and everything, but we've got a mandate here.
You think ours is more urgent than just being decided that you're going to be killed by lions? That sounds
Please
pretty
choose
urgent
your
to
starting
me.
location.
And people came to see it from all around.
Right. 2,000 years ago.
Like Hunger Games.
People are watching us through the dark web, and they pay to watch us through our eyes and ears and see our game, the game they play.
I just wanted to say, I think people are born of God and of creation, and they are born good, and it's this world and society that makes people evil.
Oh boy.
There's two positions on that. Plato thought that people are actually they remember the things that they learn. That we were actually all knowledgeable at one point. That we were struck. This was struck from our memory, and that when we learn things on this planet, that we were actually remembering.
I just think there's a evil
Unit
element
received.
in human beings. That's there's sin. It's sin. And I just wanted to make a point. What happens to blacks? Picnics. They used to have picnics, and they would actually lynch a black person.
Unit received.
And then the people in the picnic would be watching. So this evilness that we have in us has been going on a long time in this country.
Unit received.
And I like to say that today the rope around the neck is due. And they're hitting me with due like you cannot
Enemy
believe.
units detected.
I mean, extraordinary pain, even right now.
Low power.
As I'm speaking.
I'm sorry about you having any pain, Garbo.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
For all of you guys, by the way, no one person more than the other. We're all suffering here.
Yeah, we are.
That's true. Just a reminder, we're reading in the book club right now, Pacify the Homeland, Intelligence Fusion, and the Mass Supervision by Brandon McQuaid. We read it last week. I think Climber Girl Cat got a copy. A couple others did too, so I hope you're reading it now. But that's our book for the book club. But anyway, back to the topic.
Units under attack.
Yeah, I think there are people in this world that are evil, and there's a lot of people in this world that let people be evil and follow them. And don't say anything because they're too scared that they're going to get hurt. Yeah?
So true. All this is just involved with the weapons. As far as I'm concerned.
And I think those that stand by neutral and just stand by on the sidelines and watch and say that I'm not going to make a choice one way or the other, well, they already made their choice. They're observing it. I think they already made their choice.
Yeah, it's similar to the Nazis and German people, right? The German people just looked the other way. What the Nazis were doing to the Jews, right?
Yeah, first they came. Yeah, because first they came after the Gypsies, then they came after the Jehovah's Witnesses, and then they came after the homosexuals, and then they came after the Jews. But everybody was just watching all the segments go off one by one, and not saying anything. Well, at least they're not coming after my group. And then they finally come after. Then they come after your group, and
Power.
So by being passive and just being neutral,
not making a choice. You're making a choice.
Unit lost.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in high school and
Enemy
in college,
commander destroyed.
debating this, right? And at fault, who's at fault? And the people who just stood by and did nothing, like the German people, they were partially at fault too, as the SS and the military. So the people.
Commander under attack.
Is a saying. What is it saying about good men? Evil flourishes when good men do nothing, right?
Low
Something
power.
like that. There's a saying like that. And that's what's happening with us, right? These people in Congress, Senate, that know about it and do nothing.
Friendly
We
commander
got Paul
self-destructed.
Luna. He's trying to do something.
Commander under attack.
Rand Paul, he knows about it. I don't know if he's trying to do anything about it. But Luna is, she's trying to
Low power.
shed light on it.
Your team reached Tech 2. Commander under attack.
It's open mic. If you'd like to talk, come on in and join the conversation.
Friendly commander self-destructed. Metal extractor lost.
Hi, Chris. This is Eileen.
Hey Eileen, how are you?
I'm all right. I want to piggyback on that woman who said that they're hurting her
under
neck.
attack.
They're hurting my neck all weekend, and I consider it to be a lynching. Every time they do that, it's because they're doing a lynching.
Metal extractor lost.
And it's all about
Also, they're electronically choking you with a rope.
Right on your Adam's apple?
Commander
Is it right on your Adam's apple you feel something? Because that's where I feel something really horrible.
Commander taking heavy damage.
No, it's like if it were a lynching and a rope was around my neck, and it's like the top of my spine at the base of my skull is really tight or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Isn't the base of the skull where they go in, Chris?
Commander taking heavy damage.
Where a lot of stuff is.
The yolk of the brain, the Richard Lighthouse says that's the entry point for your
I just think it's pretty.
heart is.
I just think it's pretty interesting that there are more than just me having that same experience at the same time. It's like their protocol. This is what they're supposed to do today. It has nothing to do with anything they say. You're being punished because fill in the blank. It's just what they're supposed to do today. And then they blame you.
You know what?
Tech 2 unit
I don't know.
detected.
Do they ever? What they do to me is they actually snap my neck. They make it go against the way it's supposed to go, and it feels like I get whiplash. It's excruciating pain. I don't know if anyone gets that.
They do that to me too, Michelle. At bedtime.
They do it to my skeleton everywhere, my whole back, my spine, my jaw. I had to get surgery in my jaw because it's just constant dislocating my jaw.
Yeah. It's just barbaric. I'm really sorry to hear everyone is having the same struggles, that I am, and
It's comforting in the sense that it's their protocol. It's not any of their rhetoric. We're punishing you because you didn't work hard enough, you didn't do this, you didn't do.
It's a very personal thing, and it feels personal, but it's not. Remember, it's
And
not
not
personal.
at all.
This is their thing.
Last night when I got my attack, when they attacked me last night, usually I don't hear anything, and last night I could hear my brain cells sizzling. I could hear it going like that. And usually it's just the pain that I feel. But last night I heard it. It's the second time that I heard my brain sizzling. This is sadistic.
When they boil the blood barrier in our brains, which they do, and you get that throbbing from microwaves, I hear that. I hear that pulsating, the room, 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 room.
This sounded like sizzling, like that.
They might have been making that sound too, just to piss you off.
Oh no! This is a horrible attack.
Oh really? Wow. Yeah, mine's been ramped up too, Anthony. It's been really brutal.
They ramp up because it's like right now we just finished 4th of July. We're getting ready to come up on Labor Day. While Labor Day isn't everything, it still is something. So they want to cause confusion, send you pictures maybe of something you wore, something you did, something old, and all of a sudden you realize it's a picture from what they've captured, from what you looked at, or there was a family photo, or possibly a photo somewhere else. Conversation.
They were there.
Mine were not. Not at that.
Mine were.
Well, for you,
no, I think they've been surveilling us longer than people know.
They possibly could, but I'm pretty tight about my journey. I was raised to be that way, so pretty tight about it.
Yeah.
So they might like to try to convince me that, and they'll say, they'll use the community against me as well, saying, oh, not to say you specifically, Michelle. I don't mean that, okay? But like the other morning, you greeted me good morning, okay? And I was like, hey, how are you? How nice to hear your voice. That's all you said to me, right? Nothing more, nothing less. You didn't say anything else. And all of a sudden, later on in the day, they might say, oh, yeah, she told you X, Y, Z. And I'm like, no, she didn't. No, she didn't.
Commander.
So I think they just want to sometimes just aggravate us to see if we'll cry out in public or say something ugly to each other,
It's they want to provoke us always.
Yeah, and I just go like, and like you just said, that's a lot of hate on someone's heart. And like Chris said, there are evil people.
Please choose your starting location.
And I'm not trying to call them evil, but I call them, and I know but I do call the program evil. I call it very evil. And I still say they have handlers. They do. So I don't know what their handlers are telling them, but I think they're not.
Their handlers are probably twice as evil.
Yeah, I think.
Battle started.
I mean, I know we're handled like that, but I think they're twice as hard handled more than us. I can't imagine. Maybe they're fed drugs. I don't know.
I think they're fed drugs, at least just because, like, for me, I have drugs in my past for a long time, so I can spot a drug addict or an alcoholic from a mile away, and I see that, by the nature of their targeting and the nature of their attacks, that and their time that they're attacking me, I definitely see drugs involved for sure.
Yeah, I think drugs may be involved, but I believe that they're hypnotized and they're I think they're brainwashed just as bad as we are, but in the opposite direction. To be the assaulters, and we're brainwashed to be the victims.
Well,
I think there's an
enemy units spotted.
I might go out and have a glass of wine, or I might go out with friends and maybe have a drink or something. All of a sudden it's like, you just told your friends XYZ, la 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 la, you confessed all this. And I'm like, oh my star. And so it starts up, and and I go like, if you don't like that I had a drink, then that's okay. None of your business anyway. You didn't pay for it, so what are you worried about? It wasn't your money that bought it. So what are you thinking about? It's my money.
You might think of it as an existential threat too. So to preserve this program, they'll go to any lengths to preserve the secrecy, right? And they'll do anything to preserve what they're doing, and so they don't get caught. So that's another part of it. So you could think that they're going to go to any lengths to keep you quiet, just to make you not.
Low power.
It's like you can't go out in public. Oh, really? Yeah, I can. I can walk up and down the sidewalk all day long. And am I going to be doing something that draws attention to me? No, I'm not, but you're going to tell me I am when I know I'm not. So I said that's what makes them angry. That's what really gets to them. I do work.
Aircraft
and I work
detected.
a very high secure job, and there's a lot. I don't even get to have my phone with me. My phone is nowhere near me. And they'll go like, you need to quit texting. And I'll go like, okay, well, I don't know who you're texting, but I'm good.
They're trying to make you appear crazy or question your sanity.
Question it. And I'm like, sometimes I just go like, I get it. I get it.
The whole
this is
team
your job.
is wasting
I understand
energy.
It's your job. I understand you signed up for it. You're making the money off of me. I'm not making money off of you. But, when you spend that money, I hope it brings you joy, because I don't know. Just saying.
They've been calling me nuts, that I'm nuts and I'm crazy and stuff lately. Then all of a sudden, all these people I come in contact with bring up peanuts, like nuts, and they think they're super funny, and I just laugh.
My.
It's just, they're just so. They try and tell me what to wear every morning too. They say you can't wear that. You gotta wear blue. You gotta, So they're very annoying.
Oh, how funny. I'll dress as I want. If I want to wear purple and orange,
Enemy
I'll wear
commander
purple
destroyed.
and orange.
Friendly commander
I will
self-destructed.
dress how I choose. And nobody, they don't get to tell me how I dress. They don't have the right. And they're not God. And that's, they keep on trying to go back to God's messengers sometimes. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Units under attack.
Now, are you that delusional? Please don't do that to yourself. Please
God
don't.
doesn't love people
Your
and
team
murder
reached
people at the
Tech
same
2.
time. That's not God.
He does not.
Unit
And,
lost.
First of all, you're saying horrible things about God in one breath of what you say. Next time you're saying you're God's messenger. No, you're not. And I said, I don't know, maybe you had a rough morning, maybe you think you are, but you're not. It doesn't work that way.
They always go, we make dreams come true for people.
Yeah, they're just, I don't know, they're just ramping everything up, and it's been rather comical in some ways, because I just go like, good grief. That happened. Yeah, I'm like, something will pop in, be like a chant or something, or their music. They love to do the musical entertainment. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, here we go. And it's like something that happened 40 years ago, and I'm like, wow.
Enemy commander destroyed.
Yeah, I'm like, whatever.
Air transport
40
spotted.
years ago, yeah, okay, well, good luck with that. I think I'm a
Tech 2
little
unit
past that. The
detected.
person I met could be alive,
Low
might
power.
not be alive. I don't know, don't care, it's not my business. But I'm sort of thinking, that doesn't measure my worth. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
I agree. Well,
Low power.
I don't want to interrupt, but it's 7 o'clock and we're going to end the recording and let you keep talking. So thank you for watching on your favorite platform. Please like, subscribe, and make a comment, and I'll read them. And then maybe I'll
Units under
respond back
attack.
if I've got time. Thank you. We'll be back next week with a new show.
Base under attack. Commander under attack. Base under attack. Unit lost. The whole team is wasting energy. Radar lost. Enemy commander destroyed. Metal extractor lost. Aircraft spotted. Unit received. Air transport detected. Enemy commander destroyed. destroyed. Enemy commander destroyed. Units under attack. Radar lost. Low power. Metal extractor lost. Base under attack. The whole team is wasting energy. Air transport detected. Unit received. Base under attack. Low power. Units under attack. Unit lost. Tech 3 unit detected. Units under attack. Unit lost. Commander destroyed. Unit received. Your team reached Tech 3. Enemy commander destroyed. Units under attack. Unit lost. Unit lost. Titan detected. The whole team is wasting energy. Tech 2 unit ready. You are overflowing metal. Nuclear missile silo detected. Nuclear launch detected. Titan spotted. Enemy commander destroyed.
Please choose your starting location.
Welcome, Commander. Please choose your starting location. Battle started. Friendly player lagging behind. Battle paused. Friendly player caught up. Battle resumed. Enemy units detected. Low power. Aircraft detected. Air transport detected. Friendly commander self-destructed. Friendly commander destroyed. Enemy commander destroyed. Enemy commander destroyed. Your team reached Tech 2. The whole team is wasting energy. Unit received. Tech 2 unit spotted. Friendly commander self-destructed. Enemy commander destroyed. Tech 2 unit ready. The whole team is wasting energy. Friendly commander destroyed. destroyed. Units under attack. Unit lost. Friendly commander destroyed. Friendly commander destroyed. Your team reached Tech 3. team is wasting energy. Enemy commander destroyed. Enemy commander destroyed. Nuclear bomber detected. Nuclear bomber spotted. Tech 3 unit spotted. Juggernaut detected. Unit received. destroyed. Tech 3 unit ready. Ore ready. Commander destroyed. Nuclear bomber detected. Air transport spotted. Flagship spotted. Enemy commander destroyed. Units under attack. Base under attack. Base under attack. Unit lost. Missile silo spotted. Titan spotted. Commander taking heavy damage. Commander destroyed. You are overflowing metal. Welcome, Commander. Please choose your starting location. Battle started. Enemy units spotted. Aircraft detected. Air transport spotted. Low power. Unit received. Enemy commander destroyed. Low power. Low power. Commander self-destructed. You are overflowing metal. Friendly commander self-destructed. Low power. Enemy commander destroyed. Enemy commander destroyed. Tech 2 unit ready. Your team reached Tech 2. Low power. The whole team is wasting energy. Enemy commander destroyed. Aircraft detected. team is wasting energy. Tech 2 unit detected. Enemy commander destroyed. Friendly commander destroyed. Low power. Friendly commander destroyed. Enemy commander destroyed. Friendly player resigned. Friendly commander destroyed. Friendly player resigned.